Hi, it's Nicole here, and this tutorial will be about casting. Now, casting is tricking one variable into thinking it is actually another variable type, and this can make equations work for you if there's like an error because of types. Okay, I'll explain this further now. So when you're doing a calculation, you might want to have a different type of variable as your answer than the ones that you're using to add, or whatever you're doing with it. For example, you might want to add two integers together and get a float as an answer. As you should know, a float is not as precise as a double, but they do both work with decimal points, and this equation will work fine because a float lets you work with integer values. So you'll get an answer from there. I'll show you that. And see, it's giving you 30 as the answer. So yes, floats let you work with integers, but it does not work the other way around, and I'll show you that. Now, as you can see here, it's giving me an error because floats have decimal places, and if you add two floats together, it's going to give you an answer with a decimal place. But if you try and have the answer as an integer, integers obviously do not allow decimal places, so it will give you an error. The only way to make this right is by saying, hey, you're an integer, you don't need decimal places, and tricking these two into thinking they're integers, so they'll just drop the decimal places. This is not always the best way to do calculations, and I'll show you why, but first I'll show you how to make them think that they're integers. Just in parentheses before them, you just write int, and as you see, it's fixed that error. And now these two values, they think they're integers, so they'll act as integers, and they won't round up to the nearest number. They'll just, as you can see, they've both got decimal places. I'm just going to drop this last bit and just think they're the whole number. So it will give you inaccurate answers, but I'll show you that now. Okay, so as you can see, it's 1.5 plus 3.5, so the answer should really be 5, but let's see what the answer gives us since they think they're integers. As you can see, it's given us the answer 4 because, as I said before, it's just dropped the decimal place, it's just dropped the numbers, so it's just taken the first value, the whole value, and it's just stuck with that. So as you can see, you've lost some information there, so that's why casting is not always the best option, but if you're not too worried about having the decimal place, that's a good way to do that. Right, now I'll show you where I've used casting in my game. Here's an instance of casting I've used. I've turned it into an integer because it needed to be a whole number, not have any decimal places, because I just needed it to be clean, just a whole number. Now that's a good reason for using casting. For if you just want an integer, you want to drop the decimal places, or if you just need to make an equation work and not change any of the value types for the main variable. Right, well, I think that's about it for casting. You shouldn't really need to use it much, maybe not at all for this game, but if you do, like how I've used it, then go ahead and do that. One thing I should probably touch on that you'll probably need to use is this math.round and math.random. Now what math.random does, it generates a random number. So math.random generates a random number, and this ensures that the number is between 0 and 249. but this bit ensures that it will be between at least 1 and 249. And here, since I've added the bet amount, how much you've betted, it ensures that it's at least more than the bet amount. I'll write more about this on the written tutorial. It might make more sense written down because it's kind of hard to explain. But yeah. So that's it for this tutorial, and the next tutorial will be about switches and cases, and then the tutorial after that will just be the review, and I'll go over anything I may have missed in the past tutorials, and then that will be the end of the course, and hopefully you'll have your game working by then. But as always, you can always leave a comment down below or a question, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So that's it for now, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.